Good evening and welcome to Beginner's Yoga, 7 o'clock p.m. I'm Chris and this is the Hatha Yoga Center, which is located in Seattle, Washington, right in the University District, and it's a very warm summer evening here. Kind of just hitting our stride here with summer. So I think tonight it would be nice to start on our back. So finding your way onto your back, we'll start and end on our back. So coming down and just allowing yourself to have a moment to just surrender your body to the floor. Just feel the back of your body against the floor. Letting your head relax back, keeping a little bit of your neck curve intact there. You might even put something under your head if you need to support your neck, but just allowing yourself to be still for a couple of moments and bring your attention to your breath. You can close your eyes if you want, or you can keep them open, but just start to breathe a little bit more consciously and deeply, more complete with your inhale and exhale. You could bring one hand to your belly, and as you inhale, feel how your belly expands a bit. And as you exhale, just at the very end of the exhale, drawing the belly in a bit to help push the air out. So breathing like this, taking a few more breaths, allowing your jaw to relax, your shoulders, starting with a relaxed body. And then from there, just raise your arms up above your head and stretch like you're just waking up for the first time, lengthening. Ooh, excuse me. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. And you could rock a little bit from side to side. Just be softening in the front of the hips, not pulling too hard on your knees. And then just bring your feet down to the floor, keeping your knees bent and your arms down by your sides. You could just press your lower back against the floor and draw your belly down. And then release it and arch your lower back. So you're doing a little bit of a cat-cow. So move the belly, so press the belly down, exhale, and then inhale, arch your lower back. So you're mostly just moving the lower back here. And just a couple more times. So feeling the movement of the pelvis. You can feel your body sliding a little bit, your upper body moving along with the movement of the pelvis. And then finding a place, kind of the neutral place, where your lumbar spine has its natural curve. You're not pressing it down into the floor, or your belly's not popping up too much. Your tailbone is right on the floor. And then from there, lift up your right leg. And you can have your knee bent a little bit if you need to, and just circle your leg around in one direction, maybe making the circles small to begin with, and then making them bigger. Keeping your sacrum, your lower back, on the floor as you do this, and you can feel how your belly muscles and the muscles of your core are helping you to move the leg, and then switching directions and circling in the opposite direction. Maybe the circles start out big and move into a tighter circle. And then reaching back behind your thigh, you can keep your knee bent and just circling your ankle in one direction and the other. You can move your toes while you do that. And then point and flex your foot a couple of times. And then bend your knee and just draw that knee in, kind of gently pulling on the shin, drawing it closer. Maybe moving it a little bit, just feeling it into the movement with this flexion, with this bend at the front of the hip and the knee. And then release that foot to the floor, and we'll bring our arms down by your sides and lift your left leg up and make those circles. You can have your knee bent if you need to, or straighten the leg. So circling the leg around, the femur bone comes into the pelvis, so it's moving around in the pelvis, the femur bone, the head of the femur. And then making those circles bigger, and then switching directions. So the hip moves in lots of different ways. And you're just kind of warming it up and feeling into those movements, keeping your lower back on the floor. And don't forget to breathe. So relax your upper body and let your breath be nice and comfortable. In and out through the nose. And then reaching back behind your thigh and just circling your ankle in one direction and the other. Moving your toes as you like. Just kind of warming up our body slowly. Becoming more aware of the various motions of our joints. And then just draw the knee in like you did on the other side, and you can kind of move it around. Pretty deep fold at the front of the hip. Just feeling the movements of the hip. And then bringing the left foot back down and the right foot back up. Turn your toes slightly out. Bring the backs of the arms down by your sides with the backs of the hands. And then as you inhale, actually let's do it this way. As you exhale your heel towards the floor, exhale all the air out, and then just pause for a moment, holding the air out with your heel hovering above the floor, lengthening through the left side of your belly, and then inhale back up. We'll do that a couple times. So exhale all the air out, and then scoop up under your rib cage, lifting your diaphragm. And then inhale back up. One more time. Exhale, your heel towards the floor, hover all the air out and scooping your belly up, diaphragm lift, and then inhale back up, bend your knee, and bring the sole of your right foot to the floor and your left leg up. Toes are slightly turned out. You bring your arms down by your sides, and here we'll again exhale the heel towards the floor, and then lift your diaphragm. So you're scooping up your belly. Pause for a moment, lengthening out, pressing out through the heel. Inhale back up. Exhale the heel towards the floor. All the air out. And then diaphragm lift. You can feel it. You can bring your hands to your rib cage and feel that lift. One more time. Inhale back up. Exhale the heel towards the floor. Exhale all the air out and lift the diaphragm. And then draw that knee in. And just resuming your normal breathing, drawing both knees in, rocking a little bit, and then bring both feet down to the floor and bring your palms down by your sides, and then we'll just roll up into bridge. Roll up and down a few times, so slowly lifting the hips, bring your hands up overhead. Again, keeping a little curve under the back of your neck, and then slowly roll down. You can kind of feel your rolling one vertebrae at a time down, and then lift them back up. So do it really fluidly if you can. Inhaling up, and pause, and then exhale, roll down. Last one. Inhale, roll up, bring your arms up and over, and just pause there this time. You could lift your hips a little higher. Might feel like you're kind of adducting your thighs together, like they're kind of drawing towards each other, and then roll down again and bring your arms down. Then bring your feet together, and let's come up into bridge with the feet together just to see what that feels like. It's harder, so feel your legs are working, and then roll down, and then make your feet really wide, like wider than hip width, and come up like that and see what that feels like. Obviously not pushing into any knee pain or anything like that, just feeling those movements in a different way. And rolling down, and then drawing the knees in again and just rocking a little bit from side to side. And then let's bring the legs up and the arms out to the sides. And we'll just start with one leg at a time, so turning your toes out, your heels in. We will inhale the right heel. This time we're going to inhale the heel towards the floor and just hover briefly, and exhale back up, pressing your tailbone down. Then we'll do the left leg. Inhale towards the floor, and exhale back up. Trying to kind of lengthen the belly as you do these, so just going one leg at a time, slowly moving with control and with the breath. Inhaling the heel towards the floor, pause, press the tailbone down, and lift the leg back up. So you're moving not so much with momentum, you're moving slowly. One more time on each side. Maybe you're starting to feel it in your belly. And then draw the knees in, just let it go. Rocking a little bit from side to side. And then let's try it with two legs. So again, your arms out to the sides or down by your sides. And heels together, toes apart. And then we'll inhale the heels down towards the floor. And exhale back up as you press your tailbone down. Inhale the heels towards the floor. Exhale back up. One more time. This time, if you can, hover your heels above the floor as you lengthen your belly. And then bend the knees and draw them into the chest, rocking a little bit side to side. And then let's try bringing your arms out to the sides, lifting your knees. And then rocking side to side, your knees going side to side, slowly. Again, moving with control. Just hovering for a moment as you come over. If you want to add a little challenge, you could extend your top leg as you get over towards the floor. So keeping your knees pointing pretty much straight up if you can. They kind of want to migrate back in because it's easier. So see if you can keep them more pointing straight up to the ceiling. This time as you come over towards the left, just pause. You could extend the top leg if you want. Kind of rolling the right hip back down. Taking a breath. And then back to center and then to the other side, to the right. Maybe extending your top leg. Wrapping this left side of your belly back and your hip back. And then back to center. And draw your knees in. And then let's just bring the hands behind the head. You could also bring your elbows together and just kind of stretch the back of the neck. And then release that. And then let's roll over onto the left side. And we'll do a couple of clamshell movements for the hip. So bring your knees forward. You're stacking your torso like straight, the hip, one hip stacked right on top of the other. And I usually bring my hand right in front. You can bring your head down like this onto your arm, or you can support it with your hand if that's comfortable. So the knees are forward, your torso is just straight up and down, and then lift the feet up, keep them together and lift them up. And then lift your knee slowly and bring the knees back together. And we're going to go like that. So just bringing the knee up as far as you can without moving your torso. So you're not leaning back to get the knee higher. You're staying right where you are. And breathing. Let's do it about 3 more times on this side. So go really slowly, both on the way up and on the way back down. Try not to let gravity help you just drop the knee. Let it move really slowly. And then pause for a moment. And then we'll add a movement. So same thing, bring the knees out in front, your torso straight up and down. Lifting the feet, keeping them together, open the knee. And then we'll straighten the leg up. Bring the feet back together, close the knees. Again, you're not moving this. This is staying straight up and down. Opening your knees, lift the leg, Bring the feet back together, close the knees. Open the knees, lift the leg, bring the feet back together, and the knees back together. 2 more. Open your knees, straighten your leg, bring the feet back together, knees together. Did I say 2 more? Open the knees, straighten the leg, feet back together, and knees back together. And then straightening your underneath leg, you can bring your top knee over, your right knee over, still maybe supporting yourself with the hand, and then just do a few leg lifts, so you're just lifting the bottom leg up. Do it slowly again. And maybe the next time you bring it up, just pause and hold it up. And release. And then just roll onto your back for a moment and stretch it out. You can kind of release your hips a little bit, just moving your legs around. And then we'll come to the other side. I'm going to turn onto my right side, maybe supporting the head with the hand, or you can bring your head down. So bringing the knees forward, bending the knees, and keeping your torso straight up and down. You might have your hand right in front. You can bring it behind you too. And then lifting the feet and opening the knee and bringing the knees back together. So we'll do that slowly with control. We'll do that maybe 8 times. Pausing a little bit at the top just to feel that, kind of feeling that end range of motion. And just like 2 more times. Still breathing. And then release it for a moment. And then again, keeping the knees forward, your body straight up and down, your torso straight up and down. Relax the neck if you can and the head. Lift your feet, open the knee, straighten the leg up. Bring the feet back together and close the knee. Open the knee, straighten the leg up, feet back together, knees back together. Opening the knees, straighten the leg, feet back together, knees back together. Go slow. And 2 more. Open the knee, straighten the leg up, feet back together, knees back together. Open the knee, straighten the leg up, feet back together, and knees back together. Then straighten your underneath leg and bring your left knee over. And just try these little leg lifts, so you're just lifting the side of your right leg up, keeping your foot flexed, going slowly. Just lifting it up, keeping everything else right where it is. And then roll back onto your back and draw the knees in and just rocking a little bit from side to side, and then bring the legs up. Bring your arms out to your sides and find the neutral position of your lower back, so your tailbone's pressing down towards the floor. You can feel there's like a little bit of space underneath your lower back. And then let your feet go slowly from side to side. Keeping your shoulders relaxed. So your sacrum, your lower back, stays on the floor and you're not picking it up. You're keeping it pinned down. So it's not a huge movement here, but it begins to feel pretty intense because you're using all those muscles in your lower belly and in the sides of your torso to sort of stop the movement as you come over. The obliques on both sides are working. And the muscles of the lower belly, the abdomen, all the way. Side to side. Let's go a couple more times. It looks easy, but it starts to feel like some effort is happening there in the center of the body. And then just draw the knees in. And again, let's come up into bridge. This time just keep your arms down by your sides and press up. You could bring your hands together underneath and clasp your hands. And then find your breath. And just take 2 more breaths here in your bridge pose. Maybe your hands are clasped, or you can just have your arms down by your sides, breathing. And then just very slowly rolling down, 1 bone at a time, 1 vertebrae at a time. And again, pick up your knees and just rocking. And then we'll rock all the way over onto the left side, and we'll come up to hands and knees. So we'll find our tabletop position. I lost an earring there. Maybe I'll lose both of them so I don't feel lopsided. So find your tabletop position. Spread your hands underneath the shoulders. And your knees are about hip width. And then maybe tuck your toes and just rock back into your ankles and into the tops of the feet a couple times. Stretching into the tops of the feet. And feeling that all the way up, perhaps into the lower legs, like into the Achilles and the calf muscles. You can even go a little bit side to side. And then coming back up and untuck your toes, and let's do some cat-cow. So find your tabletop position, your neutral position, and then start to round your spine. Start the movement at the pelvis. You can even come up onto your fingertips and really spread to the middle of your back, lifting your belly, coming back down, inhaling and arching, coming back up, rounding. If you like coming onto fingertips, it kind of adds a little extra something. Maybe 2 more times through. And your last one, you might stay. You might pause here in your cat pose, your Halloween cat with a rounded spine. And then release that and bring your hips back and turn your fingertips back and just rock a little bit side to side into the wrists, feeling into the forearms and the palms of the hands. Could lift the heel of your hand a little bit to intensify the stretch. Try to keep your shoulders soft. And release it. And maybe stretch into this, just carefully taking your thumb and kind of playing with that stretch. And then the other side. Just letting it feel good. We're using our hands a lot because of being stuck with a lot of screen time right now. So you're probably, if you're communicating with people, on your phone a lot, more than usual perhaps because of our COVID situation, your hands need to be taken care of. So, because we're really using the fingers and thumbs. So, spread your hands, come back to your tabletop, really spread your fingers as far apart as you can. And then bring your weight forward, and then a little side to side. Just keeping your shoulder blades right on the back of the rib cage. And then come back to center, and you might pick up your left hand and turn the fingertips back. And just kind of feel into that wrist and hand that way. And then pick up your right hand and do that. And you're still breathing, being conscious of your breath. And release that. You could try coming up onto your fingertips and kind of tenting up the palm of the hand and just putting some weight into your fingertips. You can try this in downward facing dog as well, or plank even. But here you've got some of the weight in your knees, so that's helpful. And then bring the hands down. Let's tuck the toes and bring the hips back. Again, stretch the bottoms of the feet, spread your hands, and then lift the hips, coming up into your first downward dog. So pedaling your feet. And if you want to try coming up onto fingertips, you could do that. It might be way too much, but you could see what it feels like. You can definitely work on strengthening your hands. And then release it. Just moving a little more. And then with your knees bent as much as you need to, just walking your hands back and coming into a forward bend. So you can bring your hands up to your thighs or to your shins. You're hinging forward at the hip, keeping your long neutral spine here. You can bend your knees a lot or a little. Just keeping your shoulder blades snug up against the rib cage. And just noticing how you stand here and how you distribute the weight of your body over the soles of the feet. And then just bring your hands to your hips, coming all the way up with your back in that neutral position. And let's walk to the front of the mat. Set my earrings down over here so I don't lose them. Just checking to see. It's hard to tell who's watching, but hello to whoever is watching. Let's come to standing mountain pose. So find your feet on the floor about hip width. So spread your toes and feel the strength of your legs. Feel for the neutral position of your spine. So you're kind of grounding through your sacrum. You're lifting up through the pubic bone, up through the sternum, and then let your arms come up. So keeping that same neutral position of your pelvis and your lower back. Taking an inhale, and then as you exhale, coming forward again, hinging forward at the hips, keeping your long neutral spine. Again, feeling for how you stand over the soles of your feet, so just kind of noticing. Maybe a little bend in the knee. And then on your next exhale, we'll step the left foot back, and you can bring your knee down, coming all the way up to the point where you could even lift your foot. So keeping that strength here, letting the arms float up, hips stay square, and find your breath here. Nice steady breath, finding your gaze is lifted, relaxing your jaw. You might bring your arms back behind you. You could just stay here, or you could clasp your hands, lifting your heart. And then release your hands, walking your front foot forward a bit, coming a little deeper into the lunge. Keep dropping the tailbone and lifting up. So a little deeper stretch of the front of your left hip and quads. But you're not dumping down, you're still lifting up and lengthening up. Sometimes it helps to bring your hand back and feel the tailbone and feel how it's lengthening down as you lift the heart. And then release that. And actually bring your foot back a little bit and stretch into the back of your calf like this, if that feels safe for your knee. So you can just support yourself. If you have your hands on the floor, taking a little bit of the weight out, perhaps. You can also use blocks. We're not trying to round forward. We're trying to keep our long neutral spine and our breath. So feeling into the back of your calf and your ankle, and then bringing your weight back again, tucking your toes, and stepping back up consciously to your downward facing dog, and moving a little bit. And then let's take the right foot up and step it back over the left foot, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor and lifting your right hip. Feeling length in the whole right side of your body, your lower back, your waistline, all the way up into the shoulder. And then stepping back through center. And we'll step left foot up and over the right foot, bringing the sole of your left foot to the floor. Really press into your hands and wrap your elbows in. Lifting your left hip, breathing. And then stepping back to center. And then we'll come forward. So exhale as you come forward, keeping your head lifted, coming into plank pose. And you can do that with your knees down. So lifting up in your head and shoulders, lifting the belly, and then coming all the way down onto your belly with your elbows by your sides. You could bring your forearms forward, your elbows just in front of your shoulders, and then feel how you can kind of pull your belly forward, your heart forward. So you're stretching your belly a bit. You might turn your head from side to side. Just moving gently through your neck. And back to center. Just another breath. And then maybe reach your arms forward for a moment, lengthening forward. I like to get a little bit of the carpet and stretch, and then sweep the arms back, clasping your hands behind you, and lift your toes. So coming into locust pose, and you could roll a little bit side to side. Maybe rolling onto your side. So rolling onto the left side, feeling your right shoulder blade drawing down. Keeping the head back and keeping the neck long. And then rolling back onto your belly and over onto the right side. Opening the chest. Again, feeling the left shoulder blade drawing down. Keeping your neck long. And then back onto your belly. One more breath. And release, and bringing the hands under the shoulders, elbows by your sides. Bending your knees. Pause for a moment in your prayer. And then we'll come all the way up into downward facing dog again. And just moving a little bit, bending into one knee and the other. And then from here, we'll step the left foot forward. Bringing the right knee down, squaring your hips. And again, bringing the weight back up over the right knee. You could even try to lift your left foot. So keeping that strength and engagement as you lift up, lifting your gaze. Finding your breath again. Let it be steady. And then maybe here you could draw your elbows together. You could spread your fingers and then lift the arms. You could spread your hands up there, your fingers. And again, draw the elbows together, lift up. One last time, elbows together and arms back up. And then bringing your hands down, stepping forward. Again, into your forward bend. Your feet are hip width. And just take a breath. And then we'll bring the arms up. This time bring your arms out to the sides, slowly gathering up some air as you come up, reaching, and then hands together at the heart. And just pause for a moment. And let's go again, raise the arms. Lengthening up. So again, feeling for this lengthening down through the lower back, grounding through the sacrum, lifting up through the front of the body, through the pubic bone, sternum. Exhale, come forward. Coming into your forward bend, so bending your knees as you need to. And then from here, let's step the right leg to the back of the mat. and we'll come into Warrior One with the back heel lifted. So the hips stay square, and again, with the back knee bending, you avoid this tilt of the pelvis. So we're staying in that neutral position, lifting the gaze. And then slowly let your knee come down towards the floor, all the way down, and bring your hands together at your heart, bringing your right elbow to the outside of your left knee, and turning into the twist. So using your knee for leverage. If that's just too much, you can bring your hand down and open into the twist like that. You might turn and look behind you. Keep drawing your shoulder blades away so you're not crunching up into the neck and shoulders. There's some space there, you're breathing. And then slowly unwind, bringing your hands down. Bring your hands onto the inside of the foot. And just let your knee drop out a little bit. Be careful, they'll come to the outer edge of the foot. Just feeling into that hip joint on the left side. You could even twist a little bit. So you're pretty deep into the stretch of the front of your right hip as well. And then bringing your hands on either side of the foot, draw the hips back, the toes come up, and then you could point the toes and flex. One more time, point and flex. And then come forward again into the lunge, and we'll step back up to downward dog. So take a breath there. And then you might try a variation for your shoulder, a little shoulder stretch. You might bring your right hand back for your lower left leg or ankle. So strong in your left arm. You're kind of wrapping the inside of your elbow in so the shoulder blade can move, it can slide. You're not jamming the shoulder blade, but you're letting it slide. And then bring the right hand down. And lift the left hand, bringing it back towards the right lower leg, wrapping the elbow in. So your shoulder can move a little bit, finding the spot. And then release that hand. And exhale again, forward into plank pose. So maybe with the knees down, or maybe the knees are lifted. Take a breath. Feel how you're resisting gravity, you're resisting the pull of gravity towards the floor, lifting your belly. And then perhaps with the knees down, coming again down onto the belly with your elbows by your sides, and sweep your arms back, clasping your hands, rolling up, lifting the toes, finding your breath here. And, excuse me, bring your right leg on top of the left. And squeeze the knees together, lengthening back, breathing. And then switch the cross of the legs, bringing left side on top. Just noticing one side might feel a little bit easier. And release that. And you can just make a little shelf and just rock your hips for a moment, side to side. You could lift the feet and go windshield wiper back and forth. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck your elbows in, bend the knees, tuck your toes, lift your hips. And we'll step the right foot forward. And come up into Virabhadrasana 1, bending your back knee to keep this neutral position of your pelvis, your lower back. Breathing. Steady gaze, steady breath. And then slowly letting the knee come down to the floor. Bringing your hands together at your heart to take the twist, or you could also bring your left hand to the floor. So turning and bringing left elbow to the right knee, using that for some leverage to take the twist. Maybe you can look back behind you. Slowly unwinding, and bring your hands onto the inside of your foot, letting your knee kind of open up, just feeling into that right outer hip in that way. Just being mindful, exploring the movement with breath and with consciousness, not trying to do anything to the knee that's uncomfortable. And then just bringing that knee back in, and let's draw the hips back and turn the toes up, stretching into the back of the right leg. So this is like a half splits. And then draw your toes down towards the floor, stretching the top of your foot, and then flipping and flexing. You can kind of move a little bit, move the hips. One more time, toes to the floor, and then toes up. And then just coming forward again. And let's stretch into the back of the right calf, ankle, keeping your shoulders and head lifted, even if you have to have a block under your hand or something. And then bringing your weight back, and let's step forward, coming into the forward bend. So watching those transitions between your lunge and your forward bend, just moving slowly and consciously through the transitions, through all of the transitions. And then we're going to bring our arms out to the sides to come up. So come up and maybe come up to about halfway, like you're holding the moon in your arms, lifting the heart, and kind of turning your palms are sort of starting to turn towards the back of the room, and then bring the arms the rest of the way up, and hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment, just feel your breath, coming in and out through your nose, feeling your standing position, standing mountain position with your hands together in Anjali Mudra, just gently pressing your palms together, and feeling your thumbs kind of pressing into the sternum a little bit, lifting up. Keeping the back of the head back so you're not forward with the head. It's balancing on top of the shoulders. And then let's step wide on the mat. So we'll come into a wide-legged forward bend. So just hinging forward at the hip, making your way down. You can always have a block under your hands or something if you need to. And then just bending into one knee and the other. You might let your shoulders and your elbows bend. And then just coming back to center and walking your hands over towards your right ankle or foot, lower leg. Drawing the left hip back, you could release your head, your neck. And kind of feel for your sit bones, both evenly drawing back and tipping your tail if you can, lifting belly, releasing the upper body, and then walking back over to the opposite side through center. And feel how the right hip kind of wants to draw forward. Just keep it back as if there was a wall behind you and both sit bones were kind of evenly against the wall. Another breath. And then walking hands back to center. And just bend into one knee and the other. Let go of your shoulders if you want. And then back to center. Walk your hands forward. Again, if you want, you could be up on your fingertips and kind of tent your palms up and feel how you can kind of puff up under your armpits. And then walking the hands back. And you might turn your toes in a little bit and see if you can stretch into this outer part of your lower leg, just gently, being careful. It's pretty tight for me, so I'm going slowly from side to side and breathing. I might stay on one side for a breath or two, and then over to the other side. That's pretty intense. And then turning the toes out again. And let's walk the feet in about just a little wider than your hip width. Your toes are slightly turned out. And then you could bring your arms down, clasping your ankles, and pressing your knees apart with the elbows as you let your seat come down. So you're still lifting up through your tailbone and through your shoulders and your head. Maybe the arms come forward, so you're keeping that neutral spine. You're pretty much parallel, your upper body is parallel with the floor. Taking a breath or two, you can always have your arms down if that's easier. And release that and just take a moment. Side to side. And then coming all the way up. And let's walk our feet further apart for a high horse. So toes are slightly turned out. Feet are pretty wide. And then maybe bringing your hands together, sitting down so you're staying upright, not leaning forward. Again, you're grounding through the sacrum and you're lifting up. Let your arms come up. Inhale, exhale the arms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale. Inhale the arms up. Exhale down. Let's do this 3 more times. Inhaling up. Exhale. Inhale the arms up. Exhale down. Last one, bringing the arms up. And then just bring your arms out by your sides for a moment. You could press out through your palms. Staying with it. And then straightening your legs, coming back into your forward bend again, and moving a little bit. And then coming back to center, you might be able to clasp your hands back down at your lower back. Maybe bringing the arms up and over a bit. Keep your shoulders and head lifted though, so you're not rounding. Staying lifted. And release your arms. And pause for a moment. And then hands at your hips. Let's come all the way up. We'll turn the toes of the right foot towards the front of the mat for triangle pose. And then reaching back, you might try clasping your hands behind you. You can also take the traditional arm pose, which would be to reach the arms out. I'm going to proceed with my hands clasped. Just a little bit more work in the core. So the hips draw back evenly. So long through both sides of the torso, and then with the hands clasped, you can kind of roll open in your shoulders. Feel how the center of your body is holding steady, breathing. And then maybe releasing the arms and bringing yourself into the more traditional arm position. And then think about how you're going to come all the way back up to stand. So use the strength in your core to help you and the strength in your legs. And then we'll turn the toes of the left foot towards the front of the opposite side of the mat. Again, maybe with the hands clasped, shoulders rolling open, drawing your hips back. So long through both sides of your torso, wrapping your shoulder back, lengthening. Feeling your feet planted firmly on the floor. Maybe opening the arms. Taking a couple of breaths. Nice steady breath. Your gaze could be up or just look straight ahead or even down, but keep the neck long. And then with your strong legs and core coming back up, turning your toes forward, just taking a moment. And bending a little bit. Just taking a little bit of movement. And then coming back up again with a flat back. Turning your toes of the right foot towards the front of the mat. And we're going to come into extended side angle pose. So we could do that with our arms clasped as well. You might try it that way. So reaching back, bending into your right knee. Again, both hips are reaching back towards the back heel. You're bending into a 90-degree angle. You can look at your knee and see how it's tracking over the center of the foot. And then maybe using that clasp of the hands to kind of open and roll the shoulder back, the left shoulder back, and even the hip back. Breathing. Nice, steady breath. You could release your arms. The left arm comes up and over, turning the palm towards the back of the room. You could bring the left elbow to the knee or all the way down, breathing. And then coming back up. Again, strong legs, turning your toes forward. And then your left toes towards the front or back of the mat. And again, maybe you're clasping your hands, bending into the left knee. Maybe looking back behind you as you come into the bend, the deep bend of the left knee, wrapping the shoulder back. Extended side angle pose. Maybe releasing the arms. You could bring your left elbow to the left knee and the right arm up and over. Again, rolling this whole side of your body open if you can, without collapsing the left knee in, breathing. Then think about how you're going to back out with your strong legs and core coming up, and again coming forward, and just moving a little bit, letting it go. And then just heel toe your feet in. And let's come into a squat. So cinch your hips back. And if you need to, you could have something underneath your heels. So a good way to get into a squat if you have trouble with coming down low in your squat is to start with a lift under the heels. So you roll your mat up. Or you can also start by putting a block or something underneath your seat to support you. But this is a good way to start, especially if you have trouble getting your heels down. Just having a lift under your heels. So you might be able to bring your elbows kind of on the insides of the knees and pressing the knees open, lifting, so staying tall in your spine. Neutral, so you're not rounding into it. And then you might keep this left elbow or even the shoulder into the left knee, and maybe you can kind of open up into the twist. Might lift the gaze, and then coming back to the center, bringing your right shoulder. You might just be right here, but maybe you can get enough leverage to kind of open up, taking a little twist, and releasing. Taking a breath, and then let's come forward, and we'll come into frog pose. So your knees are going to come wide. You can keep your feet together, finding just the right spot where your pelvis is kind of centered in between the knees. Feeling the opening of the inner thighs and the groin muscles. Let your hands relax, maybe spread your palms. Let your breath be nice and deep. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then come forward to come out, bringing your legs together. And you might do that windshield wiper action there with the lower legs. You can lift your hips or keep your hips down, but just moving side to side. Then let's come up to hands and knees again. And let's draw the right knee forward for pigeon. So staying upright for a moment, you might come up onto the fingertips. So find a place where you're comfortable in the knee. You can always come onto your back and do a figure 4 stretch if this is too much for your knee. And then just notice the tendency of the right hip to kind of slump off to the side. So just finding a nice balanced place for your pelvis and coming forward slowly. Maybe to your forearms, keeping your nice long neutral spine and your nice like free and deep breathing. So feel the breath in the back of your body, feeling how the back of your rib cage moves with the breath. There's lots of space. And feeling into the outer hip on the right side. Staying with the sensation for a few more breaths. And then choosing a twist variation. So that could be with your left forearm coming down across the front of your body and reaching back with your right hand to the sacrum, opening the shoulders. So you're stacking your left shoulder over the elbow. You're just turning your upper back. You could also, I kind of prefer coming up onto my left hand and reaching back for my foot. And then kind of pulling the ankle into my hand to open up into my right shoulder. You might look back behind you. Either way, just finding your spot and breathing. And then release that twist. And then leaning to the right. Sweeping your left leg around. For a seated twist, you could bring the foot all the way around to the other side of your right thigh. And if you can bring your left hip back down and keep this tall, upright spine with no pain in your knee or anything on the right side, then you could take the twist like that. But you might also need to straighten out your bottom leg, which is going to help with your knee and to help keep your sit bones really grounded. You could reach underneath your thigh with your hand, get a little leverage and open your chest. You're just turning your spine. And then maybe just turning the head to the place where it feels good. We're not trying to strain our neck, so you might then look back behind you with your eyes to complete the twist. Keep lengthening up, feeling grounded and also lifting. And then turning back and just pause for a moment. And then you may still have your bottom knee bent. Let's come into cow facing pose. So come forward, stacking the knees. And you can do that again with your bottom leg straight. So your choice. And lengthening up. So you might feel like right here is just plenty to get the stretch that feels productive in your outer hips with your sit bones kind of grounding. Or you might be able to slowly come forward with your neutral spine, keeping the sit bones on the floor. Taking a couple breaths. You might sweep your hands back behind you and clasp your elbows. Or if you like to do reverse prayer, you could do that too. It's a little bit more challenging position for the shoulders and wrists. So I'm just clasping my elbows And then release your arms and sit up tall. And then if your right knee is bent underneath you, straighten your right leg and step your left foot up and bring the sole of your left foot into the inner right thigh. And you may need a strap here, which I'm going to grab my strap. So you might use the strap if you're at home. You might have to use a belt, or maybe you have a belt for your bathrobe or something. So you might use the strap to give your arms some length so that you can keep this upright spine. Or you might be able to reach your foot or have your hands on the floor. Your choice. Breathing. So you're hinging forward at the hip again. There's a tiny bit of a twist towards the right leg. And if you have the ability to reach your foot, for me it feels good to kind of use my hands to sort of draw my toes back and stretch into the top of my foot. It also intensifies the stretch in the back of the leg. Find your nice steady breath here. And then slowly releasing that. Coming back up to sit, take a twist, bring your right hand to your left knee. So you're just turning your spine. Nice deep breath. And then planting your left hand right by your hip, lifting up into this half circle pose, Ardha Mandalasana. So reaching up, you can turn your palm towards the back of the room, looking down at your hand. Kind of plant your foot and feel that stretch all the way up the leg and torso, a little bit of a back bend. And then sweeping your arm back and coming back into that forward bend. And releasing that and coming up. And then we're going to come to the other side. So you can just come back up to hands and knees. Take a couple quick cat-cows, just kind of bringing yourself back to symmetry. And then we're going to draw the left knee forward for pigeon on the other side. I'm just going to put that over there. So again, you're positioning yourself so that your hips are fairly centered, no pain in the knee, slowly coming forward, and finding pigeon, finding your breath. So being aware of your spine here, keeping it long and neutral so the head's not just randomly dropping, you're keeping your neck in a neutral position. And staying with your breath here. It's a good place to observe the breath and the habits that you have to start spacing out or thinking about other things. Just bring your attention back to the breath. Stay with your practice. Stay with your focus. So you can use your Ujjayi breathing. So you can feel a little closure at the back of the throat. And then we'll take the twist. So maybe your forearm is on the floor. You could even reach for the knee with your right hand. Bringing your left hand back to your sacrum or buttock and turning. Or alternately, you could come up onto the right hand and reach back for your ankle with your left hand for your right ankle to help pull you up into the twist. Maybe completing the twist by gazing back over your shoulder, breathing. So you're feeling a big stretch in the front of your right belly and hip. A little psoas stretch, and then release. Leaning to the left. We're going to bring the right leg all the way around for the seated twist like we did on the other side. I'm just going to turn to face the camera. So if your right hip is lifted and you can't bring it down without hurting your knee, or if it just won't go to the floor, then just straighten your left leg. More important to find the spine and the breath than to try to muscle yourself through the twist with a knee bent underneath. It doesn't really matter. It's all about this, the breath, and then bringing your left hand underneath and the right hand back, taking your twist, opening the chest. You're just lengthening up through the crown of the head and breathing. And then turning back to face forwards, and we'll stack the knees. Again, the left leg could be straight. And maybe there's some sense of hinging forward, coming into a little bit of a forward bend, but keeping the sit bones down. So you'll feel the first thing to happen will be your belly touching your thigh. So you're not coming and touching your nose to your knee. You're keeping your long spine. And also just watching for the position of your neck. So sometimes I see students lifting their chin, sometimes I see them dropping. So just keep it neutral. We're trying to breathe well. And then slowly coming back up if you're forward, or just releasing that and straightening your left leg if it's not already straight, stepping your left foot onto the inside of the thigh, and then letting your knee drop out to the side, and coming forward into this forward bend, maybe with a strap. So feel how your knee is opening out to the side, and you're just have a little bit of a turn towards the thigh. And your breath is steady. You can find your gaze ahead of you. And then coming back up, and we'll bring left hand to the right knee for the twist. So notice if you're leaning forward, just come back up and sit up tall, turning. Shoulders stay down. And then taking the right hand and planting it right down by your right hip, lifting up, coming up into this Ardha Mandalasana, pressing your hips forward. You can look down at your hand, a little back bend, and then sweeping your hand back and around and coming back to this pose again one more time. And then coming back upright and straightening both legs. Straightening your legs, and just lean back and let your feet go kind of in and out, just releasing the hips and the legs. And then sitting up, reaching forward, we'll just roll back onto our back. So go really slowly. So rolling down, so keeping your chin towards your chest, and then just slowly unfurling your spine all the way down. Reach your arms up. And then draw the knees in towards the chest, rocking a little bit, back and forth. Maybe coming into happy baby and rocking a little. Might feel good. You can rock all the way over towards the knee from one side to the other. And then last but not least, we'll do a twist, and then we'll come to Shavasana. So bring your feet about hip width, your arms out to the sides, and let the knees fall over towards the left and towards the right. So keep the feet pretty wide. And the next time your knees come over towards the left, you can let them stay there, maybe bringing your left ankle on top of right knee, if that's safe for the knee. that nice stretch on the right side of your hip and up into the torso. And then knees over towards the right. This is called deer pose. You could lift your right ankle up on top of left knee. Maybe looking back over the left shoulder. Feeling the breath up into the left side of your rib cage. And releasing that. Coming back up to center one more time, drawing the knees in. And then we're going to just extend our legs and arms down by our sides. Coming back onto our back where we started into this final resting pose that we call corpse pose or shavasana. So really allow your body to drop into the floor. I'm going to come up to a seat, but stay on your back for a few breaths in shavasana. Just finding a nice, relaxed, surrendered body for a few moments. Allowing your body to be heavy. Feeling the weight of your body. Let your body be feel the full weight of your body. Connect with it. Feel how gravity is completely supporting you. So there's not really any effort that's needed to hold yourself up or to keep yourself together. Gravity is a force you can count on. So feel your breath. And just kind of feeling the effects of your practice. Just knowing that whatever you accomplished, I can see a couple people, maybe. I can see Jen and Chris. If you're still watching, just knowing that if you participated, that whatever you did was good enough for now. I know that it's challenging to do yoga at home. Sometimes it's nice to find a place to go for yoga so that you don't get stepped on by dogs or children or anything like that, and that you have some sense of a space. That can be challenging at home. But working with what we have right now. So maybe you could start to move a little bit and then roll onto your side, just coming onto your right side. And bringing yourself back up to a seated position for a moment to close. So just finding your spine again, finding your neutral spine, and finding the breath, and taking a few nice balanced breaths here in your seated position. Really feeling the luxury of your breath, how much you can completely breathe freely. Nothing obstructing your breath or your airways. Everything is open, receptive, comfortable, steady. And then just bringing the hands together at the heart in Anjali Mudra, pressing your palms gently together. You could bow your head to your practice, to your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining in, whether you're here now or you're watching later. We sure appreciate your support here at the Hatha Yoga Center, allowing this place that has been here for 40 years, more than 40 years, to stay open during these challenging times. Namaste and have a good night.